This Jersey girl has no filter.
So are you getting a lot of hate?
Yeah, a lot of hate.
Bullshit.
Welcome to BS with Bella.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of BS with Bella, and I'm so excited because this is the first real episode of season 2. This last week's was a little short intro. It was only 4 minutes long. This week is a longer episode for you guys. So I wanted to get into the job search as a senior. One of my best advice I could give to someone is your senior year is supposed to be fun. You're totally right. But it's also time to buckle down. So during my senior year, my boyfriend moved to Atlanta, and I was like, I want to move to Atlanta too. And not only did I want to move home because I live next to the #1 market, I sat down and was like, why would I move to New York, compete with those people who went to quote unquote better school, communications department? Coastal doesn't really compete with a Syracuse, for example, or some of those other higher tech colleges. So I was thinking to myself, why would I move to New York and try to compete in that same playing field? So I thought Atlanta was a good opportunity. I started really buckling down I would say a month after my birthday, so give or take November. I wanted to know how I could get to where I wanted to be. I searched up articles. I took advice from different people who graduated and were like, what did you do wrong? Or what would you tell yourself when you were back in your senior year of college? So my fall of November, I buckled down and went through every single company in Atlanta in production, whether it be TV, whether it be radio, whether it be newspaper, whether it be magazines, or whether it just be social press, entertainment news. I went through so many different companies and I researched which ones I really wanted to. And I think that's something I give everyone advice is when you're looking for a job, look at places you're really interested. Take the time to research their mission statement, research what their values are, what they really produce. Because if you want to go into this finance firm and it's just a big Morgan Stanley and you want to do that, it's a great company, but you may like another finance firm for different things. So it's all about research. And I think that stresses a lot of people out because when I talk to my friends, they're like, okay, that's a lot to handle. It is. But it's one of those things when you're a senior in college, you have to buckle down and do it. If you want to move back home and figure it out later, completely. That's just not who I am. I am someone who, when I want something, my mom's always told me, when I was little, it's I want. That's all I was. And I would do anything to get what I want. And that's how I was with a job. I was not taking no for an answer, and I was going to get a job in Atlanta. So I did my research, and, a lot of people didn't pick up the phones, and that's okay. And that was a little hard at first because when I was sending LinkedIn messages, people would just read them. People wouldn't respond, but it's something you need to learn that's okay. After I graduated, have come to me with advice, and I'm not this God, but my advice to people is to research because it's not going to be handed to you. And I think that's really something that's a hard pill to swallow is that you're not going to find a job you want right away. It's not going to be available on LinkedIn. Or I think there's something, teamwork. That's a really good popular sports entertainment or sports job. Teamwork is another great one. You're not going to be able to find these jobs right away. So you need to take the time. And my rule is the 10-minute rule. Spend 10 minutes a day. If you take, for example, November, you spend 10 minutes a day researching companies. That 10 minutes is going to turn into something greater. Just taking 10 minutes. Or you can make it a 20-minute rule. You want to do a 20-minute rule? 20 minutes a day. Look up a company. Look up who works there. Send messages out. And it doesn't need to be this elaborate message. I learned sending a quick hi, my name is Isabella Shue. I'm a senior at Coastal Carolina University studying communications. And LinkedIn only allows you to send a certain amount of words when you do an invite. So I also learned how to shorten my message. I would be hi, my name is Isabella Shue. I'm a senior at Coastal Carolina University, graduating in May, hoping to get a job in Atlanta. I would love to connect with you and learn about your experience. Or another one is if you could send an elaborate message, I would just say hi, so-and-so, whatever college, I study communications, I want to do this. I would love to hear about how you ended up there. And people love that. I'm not ever going to say names, But I have received messages where, oh, you're a woman in sports. It's going to be hard for you. Everyone just like loves social media. Like it's going to be an easier route. Become an influencer online. And I hit roadblocks. Like I hit messages I didn't like. And, you know, it made me work harder when someone literally sat there and were like, yeah, you're not going to end up here. Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing me who you are. If you're not going to help me, I'm going to find someone who will. And not everyone's going to help you. And I think like that was also something hard pill to swallow, because if people have ever came up to me wanting help, I would think about that girl that sat at her desk her senior year crying and having panic attacks of finding a job I wanted and a decent job to live off of just after college, because I wanted that for myself. So if ever anyone came up to me for advice, I would give it, because that's just who I am. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. But I always tell people, just take the time. You're not going to like who you hear from. You're not going to hear the messages. And I dabbled in other cities, but I did the 10-minute rule. 10 minutes where I would spend 1 month on Atlanta, another 10 minutes on Charlotte. I'd spend another 10 minutes in Florida. I would look at all these different places. And not everyone is going to get back to you. And it's super competitive. This job market is, I've heard from other people over the years, the worst job. Like the job market is not great right now. It's not. It's really not. Everything's expensive, you know. The pay isn't great in some places, but I learned that. For example, I connected with a guy here whose name is Justin, and he works here, and he's like a part-timer. He hopped on a Zoom call with me and sent me a contact, which ended up here, which is crazy to think that my 5 o'clock connection reply ended up me here. It's all about connections, who you know, and your experiences. I always tell people in college, try to get as much as you can. You could have fun, but you could also create a name for yourself. You always had an internship every year, whether it be both semesters or rather be one semester. I always had an internship. And I always tell people, just find little internships. If it's at your college and you're working with the sports team and you're getting paid, that's still like an experience to put on your resume. Your resume matters. Or after college, if you're currently struggling to find a job, pick up a free internship. I know it's not great, but that experience could lead you. And you need to realize what you want. Before you go into this crazy, crazy job market field, you know, limit down what you wanted to do. And that's when I really sat back and was like, what do I want to do? I started my podcast. I wanted to be on air eventually. I love working in social media. How can I work in social media? So I took an opportunity here, and I'm working in social media, and I'm allowed to have my podcast here. So I'm growing a name for myself and also gaining the experience. And I always tell people, like, just slow the brakes. Everything happens for a reason. You're meant to be where you're meant to be. So when I got this job, I committed in April, but it was a long process. I came here in February. I toured a bunch of places. They were telling me there's a job opening. I took it, applied, went through the whole process, and now I'm here. And I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to grow for myself, but also grow for my podcast. Like, things are more professional. Like I said, I got a sign, I have a professional mic. There's no more desk handheld where my desk little holder for the mic would fall mid-video. And at my friends' college houses, things are a lot more professional. So I'm happy to be here. And after graduation, it was sad. Your senior year is definitely really hard because you go through one of those emotional, like, I want to spend time with everyone, but I also need a job. I also need to make money. So you're balancing a lot. And I feel like my senior year, like, I was wearing different hats. Always different hats is what my roommates call me. You're always wearing so many different hats. I was a bartender pretty much 4 days a week. I was trying to get a job, so there was another hat. And my third hat was also being a friend and being, like, in the moment with my friends instead of being like, oh my God, I need to go on LinkedIn, or oh my God, I need this. And yeah, I was an anxious mess my senior year. So BS with Bella was kind of on a halt for a little bit because I was really buckling down on my future. And now that I'm here, I'm so happy to produce season 2 because now I have time to actually do it and make really good content for you guys. Not that my last season was bad. I got a lot of opportunities from different people to interview, but this season can really show, like, my skills, my experience, and grow as a better podcast host. And that was my capstone project, is how to be a better podcast host. That was like my giant senior year project. So after I accepted this job, I was fortunate enough to already have a place. I moved in with my boyfriend, which I'm so grateful to have that opportunity. Not a lot of people have that opportunity right off the bat to have housing right after they get a job in a different city. And moving here was really sad. I said my goodbye to my college friends. I realized all my older friends that I'm long distance and I'm not in my silly college town they can get to 3 hours turned into 8 hours. Everyone is really far. And when I moved here, I was a little sad at first, and I don't like to admit that to people because when I put a bright face on for my family, they're like, oh, Bella can always do it. She always figures it out. And my friends always said that at home. My friend was on a walk and ran into my dad and said, my friend Mia said, Bella always knows how to figure it out. And that is true. But I was really sad, looking at all my friends moving back home and spending time together for graduation parties or they're all hanging out. And I could have done that too, but I made the sacrifice to be here for myself and for my career, and not only for my experience. So it is a little sad. I didn't really tell a lot of people. Really quiet under the radar. I only called like a few people in my family about it, but I was lonely, My boyfriend was going to work. I was here for a whole month by myself, which was not like by myself physically, but mentally I felt like I was by myself because I was always alone. It was just me and Rocky, my dog. Everyone knows Rocky. In the room. And Rocky kept me company. I mean, we went to Piedmont Park. We did lots of walks. I got to explore my apartment complex. But I got lonely. And I was spending money because I was like, what am I going to do? Just sit at home? So I would go to TJ Maxx and Home Goods to make the apartment better. Then I realized, oh my God, I'm spending too much money. I can't spend money. I need to save money. So it was like a different world of emotions my first month here. My biggest advice to someone is if you're going to move to a city right after college, it is going to be hard, but to take it day by day. I felt like I was planning a lot in my head and sitting with my thoughts of how I'm going to make friends, where I'm going to go, do this, do that. I was overanalyzing a lot of stuff. And my biggest advice is just take the step back and just breathe because everything is going to happen. I was a little lonely starting work June 1st, so I had a month to kill. I was grateful that my friend's mom flew me down to the Hamptons to go see her. So that was definitely a really good lift off my shoulders just to get to see someone I was friends with, because making friends as an adult is hard. I feel like no one talks about it. No one talks about it. Because you're not in your silly town, making friends at a bar. It's different. These are adult relationships. And how I always said that everyone wants to go drinking, that's a common thing. And I will definitely get into a next episode. I want to invite my new Bumble friend that we actually became really, really close friends from. And I want to get into an episode about Bumble itself, so I won't deep dive into it. But I have been stood up. You make plans with people online, and you're like, okay, let's go to a park, or, oh, let's go get drinks. And sometimes you show up, and you hit it off, and sometimes people don't show up. So it's definitely a learning curve. I didn't know what Bumble BFF was. One of my twin in my sorority told me about it, so I downloaded it and joined Facebook groups because my good friend Jenna, who lives in Raleigh, she met girls through Facebook group. And it's hard because meeting friends online, I felt like I was a freshman in college all over again. Posting in a Facebook group, hi, looking for a roommate. I love my dog. I love hanging out, chilling out, drinking wine. You write that summary of you. And it's scary to put yourself out there. It is. And you don't know if people like you. And that is something I personally struggle with, where I overanalyze everything in my head. People are like, Bella, you're so outgoing. You can be friends with anyone. Yeah, it's true. But in the back of my mind, I'm do they like me? And I think I'm more insecure about it now because I'm in my adult era. My adult era where... adult era. And where it's kind of crazy. So I'm in that weird adulting stage of my life where these are more mature relationships and these aren't college relationships. So I overanalyze these relationships with these girls. And you obviously get a mix of fresh post-grad people too. So you see that as well. And that is like a whole learning curve, I think, for me. And when I like left college, driving down here, I like sat to myself and I was like, wow, like things are getting real, which it is. Things are getting so real. To the point where, you know, the loan talk comes in, the rent talk. I pay my own rent in college, but city rent, how much groceries are in the city. I am fully convinced that groceries in a city are way more expensive than a suburb. I don't know if it's just me thinking, but in the back of my mind, I think grocery numbers reflect the city or state you're in, but that's just me. But it's definitely a crazy adulting world out here for me. Being alone. I don't know a lot of northern people here. It's really hard. And I'm learning Atlanta sports too. I'm not from here, so a lot of people like know Atlanta sports in the back of their hand. I don't. So that's definitely a learning curve. Tonight is the Atlanta Hawks NBA draft party that I'm going at State Farm. By the time this is posted, this will be already happening. But I got a really cute outfit for that because it's going to be a great opportunity to make connections and also to learn Atlanta sports more. Who they're picking, what they're going to do with the number one pick. Are they going to trade it? Are they going to keep it? Who are they going to pick up? Who are they going to trade? So it's definitely a learning curve for me, not only mentally, physically, but also sport knowledge as well. Because, you know, I come from up north, so I know the Yankees, I know the Giants, New York Devils, the Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets. I only know New York, New Jersey, which is weird to think that, you know, stuff is in New Jersey, but they're New York teams, but whatever. I never understood that. But those type of teams compare down here. And I was so jealous that the Braves went to the Yankees and the Yankees didn't play here because I was like, oh, I could have repped and could have seen who the northern people are. But the Mets play here, so I wonder who's going to be really a Mets fan and who's from New York, New Jersey, and see who's going to be at that game. But the Phillies come here, so there'll be some northern, I guess, people. Phillies, you know, New York and New Jersey don't really mix well with Philly, but South Jersey does, but North Jersey, not really. But I'm so excited to really deep dive into season 2 with you. I'm hoping to get some good interviews in this season. My goal is definitely to improve this podcast, and my one step is my logo change, my little intro change, you know, up to dating with that, and equipment style. This has definitely helped a lot better, making things more official, and hopefully get some guests into this podcast studio. I know a lot of my guests have been virtual, and I really want to limit that, but unfortunately, due to like travel and when I do pick up like players, there are a few players that entered the draft from Oklahoma that I am hoping to get on in the next few weeks. That will be more of a Zoom interview, so it won't be like a whole setup like this, but I'm hoping in the future that I can get some people in here to come on my podcast in person. I have an intern who's recording for me in the corner, Chloe. But I would hope to get some interns maybe on here. They have a podcast too, which is really fun. They get to really explore being an intern and talking about that experience here. So I'm really hoping I can get some guests on here and bring some more different, you know, diversity and unique personalities in the studio, especially that I got 2 more chairs. I got one to my left, one to my right. I could have up to 3 guests, and it won't look so miscombobulated than it did before. But I'm so excited to get the season rolling. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm so open to my Instagram DMs and my YouTube comments to see what you guys want to hear, want to see, where I should do. A lot of people like the vlogs I do and really interested in maybe posting more of like a podcast vlog. I am going to do more my like destinational podcast. I'll probably take my like mics I did have in my college years that I used in season 1. I'll probably take them when I do go on vacation so I can like produce from a podcast in a different location when I don't have access to this. But I'm so excited for the season to get going for you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube, and thank you so much for following my journey. Bye.
This Jersey girl has no filter.
So are you getting a lot of hate?
Yeah, a lot of hate.
Bullshit.
Welcome to BS with Bella.